What's my name, you nauseating, corrupt hack, Paula Metzler on Penfield Town Court? You know my name, you nauseating, corrupt hack. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield. Does this document look familiar to you, you bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist? That's your signature right there. To allow Lee LaRoque to come in here to my residence in Penfield. I lived there for 8 years. Looking for a hammer. Yeah, you heard that right. What'd you find? Where's my Chromebook? Do you have my Chromebook, you bald-headed, wig-wearing hack? Where's my Chromebook that Lee LaRoque took out of my residence? Who the hell is Lee LaRoque in her blue gloves? You bald-headed, wig-wearing, corrupt, nauseating, repulsive hack. Honorable Paula Metzler. Paula seem honorable? You have no honor. You don't know what constitutes a crime. All you are is a sick, nauseating, corrupt rubber stamp for a sick, nauseating, corrupt district attorney and sick, nauseating, corrupt sheriff in Sandra Dorling and Todd Baxter. You are an employee of the sheriff's office and the district attorney's office. I'm in your courtroom. You don't ask me one question on why I'm there. Why? Not one question. Not one word, not one sound, not one syllable from you, issuing judge. Is that right? Proof by affidavit. Where's the affidavit? Proof by affidavit. To any, pardon me, Honorable Paula C. Metzler. You don't know anything about honor. Honorable Paula C. Metzler, issuing judge. To any deputy sheriff of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and any other police officer in the state of New York. I'm going to stop right there. When you signed your name to this, Paula C. Metzler, didn't it occur to you that you're signing your document to any deputy sheriff of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office to come in here? Does that occur to you that that's what the language is? Any deputy sheriff and any other police officer in the state of New York. So any deputy sheriff in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and any other police officer in the state of New York can come in here looking for a hammer. This is 1984. You bald-headed, wig-wearing, corrupt hack. 1984, Paula Metzler. You already pronounced me guilty. I'm going to be there on Wednesday, 2 o'clock. I'm already guilty. And you're not going to ask me one question. Why are you in my courtroom? Because it doesn't matter. Just like your fellow repulsive hack, John P. Lomenzo Jr., who preceded you. 70 years old. This guy's got 1 foot in the grave. Again, just like you, doesn't even ask me. Why are you in my courtroom? That is astounding. That a judge doesn't even ask a defendant why he's there. And there's no interest from you or him previously in a discovery of information, of facts, to establish facts. Because I have never committed a crime, you bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist. And this right here proves that you're a bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist, Paula Metzler. How old are you? Because I have a lot of information on you. How old are you? Able to function? Are you able to retain information at your age? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. And when I contact the United States Department of Justice and the Court of Appeals in Albany, I'm going to send this YouTube, and I'm going to send between 500 and 1,000 pages to the United States Department of Justice, the Court of Appeals. And this is going to be the transcript from what I'm saying to you, you bald-headed, wig-wearing, fanatic, degenerate extremist. And that's what I call Sheriff Todd Baxter, a fanatic, degenerate extremist. And you can join him in that bankrupt existence because you're bankrupt, you bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist. Signing your name to this, to any deputy sheriff, I'm going to say that again, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. To any deputy sheriff of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and any other police officer in the state of New York, it doesn't even occur to you that this is extremist because you're an extremist. When an extremist like you, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler, extremism is unrecognizable. Proof by affidavit. Where's the affidavit? I'm confident there is no affidavit. When I send you Freedom of Information law, and this is 1,000 words, 2,000 words, 3,000 words, just on what I'm holding here. Where's the affidavit? By Lee LaRoque. Who the hell is Lee? Did you meet with Lee LaRoque? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. Did you meet with this woman? Or does she just contact you by email or phone, fax you over some information or email you some information, however that's done, and you're the fax machine of 2020, given your age? Fuck you, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. And right now, I know what you're thinking. How can we concoct a crime for him based on what he has said at 5 minutes in his YouTube? And that's what the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office is thinking at 5 minutes it is. How do we concoct a new crime 5 minutes into this YouTube for him? It doesn't even matter to you. Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. There's no jury in Penfield Town Court. Who the hell are you to pronounce me guilty without a jury and without the prosecutor talking in court? Who called you to be in Penfield Town Court? You refuse to disclose it. I'm going to have 100+ questions for you about this abridgment of my civil and constitutional rights. But for example, like how I've never heard Miranda. Does that sound familiar? I've never heard Miranda and I've never committed a crime. Proof by affidavit having been made to state before me by investigator Lee LaRocca, deputy sheriff investigator with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office assigned to criminal investigation section, that there is reasonable cause for believing that the information described below may be found within premises described below as evidence of the crimes reckless endangerment, trespass, petty larceny, criminal tampering, resisting arrest, attempted assault, violation of New York State penal law. Reckless endangerment? Do we even know that concoction? Trespass for walking through a parking lot that I have not been in 18 months, that people walk through all day long? Where am I trespassing, Paula Metzler? On my front lawn? Because it's petty larceny? Is that someone you think is me taking a sign off my front lawn? A sign on my front lawn is petty larceny? Criminal tampering? How is that? Criminal tampering? Do you even know what this concoction constitutes for me? Resisting arrest? I'll tell you about that one. And it's not going to matter to you. Bald-headed, wig-wearing, extremist, fanatic, degenerate, sociopath, Paula Metzler. I leave my residence. I walk alongside my residence, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees that I'm demanding their names, and I'm not being provided by party-switching fraud tied back to the names, are on the front lawn of my neighbor that lives across the street from me. Because the reason why I came outside is I saw like vehicles parked on Penfield Road. I go up to the bedroom. It's at the front of this residence. You know where this residence is here, because in this disgusting, vile search warrant from you, it says that it has a brick face and contains cream-colored front door, which is the entrance to 26.5. Yes. Well, I was upstairs, and the phone rings, and there's my neighbor. My neighbor says to me, "Did you see them?" And I said, "Yes." I hung up the phone. You know why? He didn't have to say or identify them, because he saw the Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees go on to the front lawn of my neighbors that live across the street from here. And you see that street there? They ran across the street at me. So, this is going to be the concoction of a felony for attempted assault on my back porch. Does that matter to you? Bald-headed, wig-wearing, corrupt, disgusting, vile, sickening Paula Metzler, who needs to be removed from Penfield Town Court immediately. I'm going to devote every single minute to my existence to seeing that you were removed from that court and sent into retirement, humiliation, and disgrace. That's going to be my mission in life. Bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler is to see you forcibly removed and humiliated, sent into forced retirement and humiliation by me. It's going to be my mission in life to see that you were removed from Penfield Town Court. Reckless endangerment, trespass, petty larceny, criminal tampering, resisting arrest, attempted assault in violation of New York State penal laws. Attempted assault. They're running at me from across the street. I don't know who this is. I turn around. Then the body camera footage goes on. That's not a crime where I am. That's not a crime. Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. I run back along the side of my porch. One of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office deputies, after they were waiting for me on the private property of my neighbor, grabs my arm. The hammer I just grabbed goes up. I pull away. I run back into my residence. How's that a crime? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. How's that a felony? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. Am I committing a felony? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler on my back porch. That doesn't matter to you at all. You're an employee of the sheriff's office and the district attorney's office. Everything I have to say to you, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler, is totally irrelevant. Because you are a bankrupt, sickening, repulsive individual. This is what Leela Roque was wearing. I have photographs of when they came in here, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler, and they went berserk in here. Leela Roque went berserk in here. You know, her name is not on the payroll that I have for the sheriff's office, and I'm demanding via Freedom of Information law the new payroll, and they refused to send it to me. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times. 11 times since November 15th, I've demanded salaries for the district attorney's office, the sheriff's office, and they've refused every time. Just like a certain John P. Lomenzo Jr. Because I demanded his salary for the 2 judges on Penfield Town Court. What is it? What's the salary for you 2 hacks without the jury? It's $28,000 and $34,000, right? This is from him. This 70-year-old pedophile protection rack for Daniel Vlaus III. Do you know who he is? Does that name sound familiar, Daniel Vlaus III? Daniel Vlaus III is a child rapist in Penfield. He has a relationship, the father, Daniel Vlaus II, with John P. Lomenzo Jr. The third has to appear in Penfield Town Court, John P. Lomenzo Jr. Your revolting predecessor doesn't recuse himself from that case, which is not surprising because he's corrupt to the core, just like you, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler. Dear Mr. Chichester, because when I'm demanding the salary for Penfield Town Court, this is what he sends me. Dear Mr. Chichester, I am in receipt of your undated letter, which was timestamped by my clerk on August 22nd, 2018. Timestamped by his clerk. He thinks he's in the CIA. Time-stamped by his clerk. This is the way this guy communicates. Time-stamped by his clerk. In your little library courtroom. You're inside a library. Do you know that bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler? Does it occur to you that you're in that library? Because my ex-girlfriend, Laura, when we moved from Webster to Penfield, Laura's hired at the Penfield Public Library. And I would go over to see Laura because I would think about her. And I don't know when I go in the front to see Laura Riley at the Penfield Public Library, that at the end of the hallway is your revolting star chamber of Penfield Town Court. I do not know that Penfield Town Court, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler, is inside that complex. I do not know. Because I'm just there to see Laura. And no, I'm not looking at the signs when I go in. You're sitting there by yourself in your little room pronouncing guilt and innocence. Who the fuck are you to pronounce guilt or innocence for anybody? Why isn't there a jury in Penfield Town Court? Bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler. Who the fuck are you to sit there, one person, and determine guilt or innocence for anybody? I am in receipt of your undated letter, which was timestamped by my clerk on August 22nd, 2018. You should be aware that the Freedom of Information Law does not apply to Penfield Town Court. Is that right? The Freedom of Information Law doesn't apply to Penfield Town Court. I'm going to be demanding a list from you, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler, of every single person that appeared in Penfield Town Court. I want the name and the charge. And from your extremist colleague, James Mully. I want the name and the charge and the disposition of the case from you and James Mully. And I also want previous records from this guy, Mr. Timestamped by my clerk, because he's obviously a top government official here, timestamped by his clerk. Should be aware that the Freedom of Information Law does not apply to Penfield Town Court. Rather, requests are governed by judiciary law, Section 255. Requests must be releasable as to both time and scope. Your request for all cases before me for more than a 5-year period is not. I'm just simply demanding from him, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler, a list of defendants and his ruling, the disposition of the case. And he's refusing. This is a public proceeding in your little star chamber, and he refused. And I'm not surprised. And then, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler, I decide to write a Freedom of Information Law because after I receive this, and I walk over to your little star chamber. I write the Freedom of Information Law after I receive this from him, demanding a list of defendants in Penfield Town Court and the disposition of the case. It's a public proceeding. Bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler. I walk over there with the Freedom of Information Law. Simple language. A list of defendants in Penfield Town Court before John P. Lomenzo Jr. What's more simple than that? Bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler. I walk up to the little window there that looks like a DMV. I say to the clerk, my name is Christopher Chichester. I want a list of defendants in Penfield Town Court and how the case was resolved by John P. Lomenzo Jr. And I leave. That's all I did. Does that sound like the activity of a citizen demanding information, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler? An hour later, after I go for my run, I'm coming down Sanders Farm Drive, and there's Lindsey Barron of the Monroe County Office of Mental Health with the employee of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office starting to walk across my front lawn, and then I see the Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle parked in front of my residence. And as I'm running, I continue to run because he's called her previously. So at that moment, I decided to keep running, and she sees me, gets in the vehicle with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee, and then I'm running down Willow Pond Way, which goes to Wegmans, and here's Lindsey Barron yelling out at me at the car, I just want to talk to you, Chris, over and over. I just want to talk to you, Chris. And I'm looking at her, I'm looking at her in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle, and I'm thinking, how the hell does this guy right here, Mr. I am receipt of your undated letter, which was timestamped by my clerk. Timestamped. He can't even talk in a normal way. This 70-year-old had timestamped by his clerk. He needs to have a letter timestamped. It's such a joke. Everything about your Penfield Town Court is a joke, a disgrace, a sickening, nauseating, vile existence. Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. So I turn around, and there's Lindsey Barron in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle. I just want to talk to you, Chris. I just talked to you, Chris. And I stopped because she was going to follow me. And she gets out of the vehicle, and I said to her, I got no time for you. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. And she left. Daniel DeLaus III is a child rapist in Penfield, and your predecessor, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist, Paula Metzler, released a child rapist in Penfield. You bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist, Paula Metzler, can walk through his parking lot without being arrested. Why is that? Why can you, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler, walk through his parking lot without being arrested? And not me. Where's my 14th Amendment right to equal protection laws? So they're concocting new crimes for me because I sent an email to Nayraj at Penfield Tax or whatever. How is that a crime? What you're doing to me is eviscerating my First Amendment right. What you're doing, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler, is declaring that I don't have a First Amendment right, that I cannot defend myself, that I'm just supposed to subject myself to your mercy. You are a repulsive hack. You are consumed by hatred. You cannot make a distinction between right and wrong, legal and illegal, truth and lies, justice and injustice. It's impossible for you to make those distinctions because who is Lee LaRoque? Where's this proof by affidavit, Paula Metzler? Where is it? Does it exist? Where's my Chromebook? They took things out of my house, papers all over the floor. They went to my father's dresser. My father gave me his dresser from when he was a child in Brooklyn. My father is 86 years old. No one should ever be in his dresser except for me because he gave it to me. And when I went upstairs, all the drawers were pulled out. The bed was turned over. My military uniform from when I was in 101st was on the floor. Papers all over the floor in here. This Lee LaRoque tore my residence apart. That's not hyperbole. She tore my residence apart because of you, because of what you did to me and what they find. I still haven't got my Chromebook back. I'm sure they were reading my emails. I'm confident Lee LaRoque read my emails, went on my laptop to look to see websites that I visited, and they were doing that as well. This is the invasion of my life. You, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler, represent the invasion of my life. And when I show up there in Penfield Town Court on Wednesday at 2 o'clock, you're just going to pronounce me guilty and I'm going to go to jail. And you're going to confirm, once again, why you're a fanatic. Why you're a sociopath? You're a sociopath. There's no doubt about that. I come into your court, you don't even ask me why I'm there. When they knocked me down and attacked and assaulted me in front of witnesses, they brought me there you are standing with that fucking deer in the headlights. That fucking deer in the headlights on you. And I said to you, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler and your fucking deer in the headlights, where's the prosecutor? Where's the jury? And you didn't say anything to me. There's not one word from you when I said to you, where's the prosecutor, where's the jury? How is that possibly constitutional, what you have done to me? Sitting there in your little star chamber, and I say, where's the prosecutor, where's the jury? And there's nothing from you. There's not one word, not one sound, not one syllable from you. Bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler. What do you think the United States Department of Justice is going to think when I send them everything? And everything's going to be 500 to 1,000 pages. About how there you were waiting for me. Who called you at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office on August 30th and told you to be in Penfield Town Court? Who called you? You know the name. An employee of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office called you, Paula C. Metzler, and proof by affidavit to get into my residence when they knocked me down at Wegmans. This is after they knocked me down because they knew I wasn't in here. That's why you were able to get in here and Lee LaRoque was going to get in. Who was Lee LaRoque? Did you meet with them? Did you meet with anybody at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? Did you meet with anybody from the District Attorney's Office? Who is Leah LaRoque? Because her name is not on the list of salaries. The Sheriff's Office, the District Attorney's Office. Who is this woman in her blue gloves? Who is this fanatic, extremist, and degenerate? You can identify a fanatic, extremist, and degenerate because you are one. Who is Leah LaRoque? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. Who is this woman? This is your signature right here. You're in here tearing my place apart. You. Not you physically, but you allowed it to happen. Who is Lee LaRoque? How many of them were in here? Do you know? Do you know how many people were in my residence? You're the issuing judge. Said right there in your third grade child handwriting, Paula C. Metzler. You were hereby authorized and directed to search of premises to arrive at 26.5 Sanders Farm Drive. What'd they find? Because there would have been a new charge, new counts. They found nothing. Papers all over the floor. My military uniform. That uniform from the 101st should never be on the floor. I have photographs of what they did in here that I'm going to send to the United States Department of Justice. What Leah LaRoque did, what you permitted Leah LaRoque to do to me. You are a vile, repulsive human being, incapable of serving on any court. Who the hell are you to sit in judgment of anybody? Where's the jury in Penfield Town Court? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. It doesn't matter to you. The arrogance and the extremism of you just to sit there and determine he's guilty, he's innocent, she's guilty, she's innocent. Guilt and innocence? Who the hell are you to determine guilt or innocence? Where's the jury? Committed a crime. I go to the now defunct PW Fitness in Penfield. Up walks to me, Jim psychopath Jermaine Benman. He motions with his hands for me to get off the machine. I tell him I'll be 30 seconds. He leans over me. My head snaps back violently. I go outside. I sit in the vehicle after Andrew Reale arrives from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. He walks Jermaine Benman around to the side of the vehicle. And Jermaine Benman says to me, I want to press charges against you. And with those 7 words, I'm charged with harassment second. That's harassment second right there. Who am I harassing? I've said this to Andrew Reale. You can't answer that question. Criminal contempt. I walk outside one day. I stand right here and say, nobody else in Atlanta walk back in my house. How's that a crime? 6 Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees were here. Now, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. Have you had access to my medical records? What's the answer to that question? And you know what I'm going to say because of the question you asked me. Paula Metzler, have you had any access to my medical records? Has anybody informed you about my medical history? The former, I don't know. The latter, I know for sure. The answer to that is yes. Because you said to me, have you had any psychiatric treatment? Have you been in a psychiatric center? Why would you ask me that question? Who told you about my medical history, Paula Metzler? Because there's nothing wrong with my psychiatric disposition. I don't take any prescription drugs. Everybody's ever met me throughout my life will confirm I don't have any type of mental health problem. You have a mental health problem because you, Paula Metzler, you need psychiatric treatment for allowing Lee LaRoque to be here. Why did you, Paula Metzler, ask me if I have had any psychiatric treatment or evaluation or institutionalization? Why did you ask me that question? Have you had access to my medical records? Why would you ask me that question? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. Why would you ask me that question in open court? What does that have to do with the disposition of why I'm in there? Or the reason, rather, on why I'm in there? Why would you ask me that? It's for humiliation purposes because you believe in humiliation. Why did you ask me if I've ever had any psychiatric treatment? Why? What's the reason? Because I don't have any type of illness that constitutes psychiatric illness. My personal physician will confirm it. Every friend, every family member, every girlfriend, every person I've ever worked with will confirm this too, and that's irrelevant to you. Why did you ask me about my health? I run a bike, I swim, go to the YMCA, I'm in excellent shape, mentally and physically. And you, Paula, need to lose at least 30 pounds. So why did you ask me if I had any psychiatric evaluation or institutionalization? Why did you ask me that? What's the answer to that question? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. Did anybody at the Monroe County Sheriff Office or Monroe County District Attorney's office inform you about my medical history? Is that a standard question for you to ask? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. Tell me. What do you think the New York State Department of Health and the Department of Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C. is going to think about you asking me that question in open court? Because that's totally irrelevant. To ask me about my health and health history, which is excellent, is completely and totally irrelevant to why I'm in your star chamber. And yet there you are asking me about it because you believe in humiliation. That's why. Why did you ask me that question, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler? Have you had any psychiatric institutionalization, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler? Because anybody, a judge that affixes her name to any deputy sheriff of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, it's 170 employees, any deputy sheriff, and any other police officer in the state of New York, you sign your name for a search warrant for any other police officer in the state of New York to come into my residence. So Paula Metzler, you bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist, you need to seek a psychiatric evaluation about how you're affixing your name to this search warrant that allows any other police officer in the state of New York to come in here looking for a hammer. Who is Lee LaRoque? Where's this proof by affidavit? You know what's going to happen? Bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler. When I demand this proof by affidavit, you're going to refuse. You will refuse. And you look just like this guy. This is exactly what you look like when you're not wearing your wig. I asked you if you owned a dog when I was in your star chamber. I'm walking my little guy that I adopted from Lollipop Farm Humane Society in 2012 for the 4,000th time on this land. These parasites that are now concocting new crimes through you for me. Nairaj and Leila Kumar Shah don't own. This is my little guy. 4,000 times I've been back there. 4,000 times. And one day the window from this repulsive little shack, Shah law firm, flies open and their employees screaming at me. I don't know why. So I take my little guy in and I walk to the parking lot to ask Leila Kumar and Nairaj Shah why their employees screaming at me, or the person in the office. I don't know if that's an employee, pardon me. And they refused to talk to me. An hour later, I have the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, two of their employees at my door demanding my little guy with the person from animal control with pole in hand with noose on it. He weighs less than 15 pounds, my little guy. Pole in hand with noose on it. And there's this vicious confrontation at my front door with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees demanding my little guy when all I'm doing is walking in the same way for 7 years and 4,000 times. This is who you're empowering now to descend on me with the concoction of new crimes. These two parasites, Nairaj and Leila Kumar Shah, 50-plus-year-old man Nairaj who lives with his mommy. You live with your mommy, still, bald-headed, wig-wearing, Paula Metzler, 'cause you're about his age. Are you living there with your mommy? Because I've seen you. And who the hell would ever want to be with you? The widow Metzler. Who the hell would ever want to be with you, the widow Metzler? John P. Lomenzo Jr. refused. It's not the only time he refused. Your predecessor, this sick hack, went nuts on this one. That's him right there. Rejected. Because I'm demanding a list of his cases. I'm also telling him what I think about him. Oh, and again, John P. Does that name sound familiar? Given your age, you may forget your predecessor. John P. Lomenzo Jr., the widow Metzler. Does this name sound familiar, John P. Lomenzo Jr., the widow Metzler? The widow Metzler, you see, he's refusing again. Certified mail, John P. Lomenzo Jr. Does his name sound familiar, the widow Metzler? This is the guy that Sheriff Todd Baxter used to get to my residence, using a civilian, Steve Desmond. He's using a civilian to get to my residence to get caught criminal contempt. He doesn't want to open his mouth. Elliot Roth, this guy here, worked at 2025 Penfield. They put in surveillance device on that building camera, and I was on it. And I finally got them to confess that it is a surveillance device. I've seen those images. I'm not committing a crime at all. This guy, Elliot Roth, says to me, going to be arrested. I'm demanding from him, along with this, 100 pages in here. He refused. He's standing out there in this parking lot that you could walk through without being arrested. And everybody else in New York, except for me, you're going to be arrested. He says to me, I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about. Because they put the camera on the building. He refused to open his mouth. Elliot Roth again, registered mail return receipt. Elliot Roth again. Oh, these parasites again. I'm sure you can be concocting new charges because I mentioned his name here on this YouTube. There's his name where I prove you own that land. Nothing from them. Bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler. Fuck you, bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler. Here they are again. Layla Kumar Shah. I'm at the YMCA. I'm on the rowing machine. And she's at the back. I'm rowing. I'm ignoring her. And she sees me. I'm rowing. And I'm thinking, will you just please walk right by me when she's walking toward me as I'm rowing? She walks up to me, stands in front of me. And I look up at her and I say to her loudly, what's my name? You know my name. Layla Kumar Shah walks over to the YMCA employee and says, he points at me, doesn't belong to the YMCA. And then the YMCA employee says to Layla Kumar Shah, 70 plus years old, I don't know what you're talking about because no one knows what the hell this woman is talking about. Layla Shah. Oh, can I mention his name? Because you're concocting new crimes for me. Right there. Refused. Prove you own that land. Layla Kumar Shah. All in there. Refused. Miranda versus Arizona sound familiar to you? Does it bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist Paula Metzler? Because I've never heard Miranda versus Arizona. And speaking of certified mail, because I included in this certified mail why I've never heard Miranda versus Arizona. And the sheriff of Monroe County refused. So, this is when I had to come in your town of Penfield Animal Services. When I was in jail as an innocent man, then I had to go back to Lollipop to get my little guy. I had a re-interview to get my dog, my Shih Tzu. And I was in total fear in the Uber going over there, thinking I wasn't going to get him back because I knew where I came from, and I did get him back. This is what you're doing to me. This is this accusatory issue, this coffee stain document. That the defendant. I'm a defendant on a piece of paper. I've never been a defendant in the courtroom. But on this accusatory issue, walk through parking lot, that the defendant on or above date, location, proxy, 1440 hours, did knowingly enter or remain unlawfully in upon the premises 2041 Penfield, New York, by walking through the parking lot after being told by certified by police he's not allowed on the property. I have to try not to laugh. So, you can walk through this parking lot, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler, and not be arrested. 17.9 million people in the state of New York can walk through this parking lot without being arrested. This delivers me to jail the first time, walk through this parking lot. In 2018 and 2019, there were fireworks at Harris Whalen Park. 200 people walked through that parking lot after the fireworks. 200, because I sat right here, I could see them all. How many of those people were arrested? This accusatory incident walked through the parking lot. The reason why Sheriff Baxter never heard my name is that Dr. Gloria Nichols, my dentist, was in that building, and she would see people walk through that parking lot all day long. Before the fireworks at Harris Whalen Park, Penfield High School students walked through that parking lot. What would the mothers and fathers think if a Penfield High School student was arrested for walking through that parking lot because they were in their band uniforms? What would the mothers and fathers of these students of the band uniforms, wearing the band uniforms, were arrested? If I walked through that parking lot tomorrow I'll be arrested. A Penfield High School band student in his and her uniforms walked through that parking lot. I said that to Todd Baxter in YouTube and in writing. How come this band student wasn't arrested? I don't believe for 1 second that a band student should be arrested. But if it's a crime to walk through that parking lot, if that's a crime, then everybody that walks through it should be arrested. Isn't that right? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler, Leah LaRoque. Who the hell is Leah LaRoque, you fucking hack? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive, and I have never committed a crime.